welcome to 2022. I haven't made a video in a while because it's been a crazy beginning of the year and I have been writing a few different blog posts but haven't had a chance to make a video. So I wanted to jump on and talk about some of my blog posts that I've been and some of the topics that have been coming up in my work and say hi. I'm actually recovering from COVID. My 4-year-old came home from school and brought home COVID, so I'm sounding a little bit stuffy, but I'm fine, he is fine, we're gonna be good. No fun, but such is life. So today the topic I wanted to talk about is, can you make a full-time income as a surface pattern designer? This is a question that I get all the time. And the reason that I wanted to discuss it today is for a couple reasons. The first is that it's the beginning of the year and a lot of people are releasing their income summaries from 2021, myself included. And you should go to my blog and read more about my 2021 income if you're interested. But a lot of people on Instagram are putting up their pie charts of what type of work makes up how much of their business. So, 25% commissioned artwork and 40% print on demand, all those kind of things. So you might be seeing those around right now. And the other reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I sent out a survey to my audience, my subscribers, in December, and one of the things that I heard a few times, more than a few times, was that designers were discouraged because they felt like there are so many surface pattern teachers out there right now that it makes them think that's the only way to make money in this industry. And these are people who don't want to be teachers, who want to just be designers, and not just, who want to be designers, don't want to be teachers. And they want to make a living doing that. And they're unsure if that's even possible at this point because it seems like teaching is the only way to make money. So, got a lot to talk about on those topics. But diving right in, can you make a full-time living as a surface pattern designer? Yes, you 100% can, okay? If you think you can only teach, that's just incorrect. Before I really dove into teaching with Start Your Surface Pattern Business in 2020, in 2019, I made almost my entire income from surface pattern design. And that was between freelancing and licensing primarily. And there was a couple other things in there, few little bits and pieces. But for the most part, I made almost my entire income from designing. And that year I made $81,000. So give or take, this is all like off the top of my head right now, but let's say $5,000 was from other sources. So $75,000 I made from creating artwork. And this year I've had the joy of interviewing a lot of different artists, and we've talked about income and we've talked about what they do in their businesses. And of course you can watch all those on my channel. But what I have seen time and time again is that it's 100% possible. There are a lot of people who are doing this right now without teaching. From the people who I interviewed this year, Takesha Andrews, Erin McManus, Nicole Tamrin, Erilyn Wiederhold, all four of those artists are super talented and they're earning their incomes through their art without teaching any sort of online courses. Looking at my income this year, one of the reasons that I was a little hesitant to share it with people is because the pie chart has shifted. In 2019, most of my income came from artwork. And this year, more of my income comes from teaching than artwork. I'm not sure of the exact, I'll have to put up the pie chart, but basically I think we're at like maybe 45% is through artwork. And so this year I think I earned about $53,000 with my artwork, and not teaching or anything else. And that is, first of all, that's a totally respectable income. That could support someone, at least in America, at least around where I live, in North Carolina. So, but I wasn't concentrating on art. That is what I made, not concentrating on art. And what I have learned from this year is that what you focus on grows. I was not focusing on my artwork. I was not focusing on my client work. In fact, I was thinking about potentially even dropping client work and just doing teaching and art licensing. I didn't end up making that choice, but the point is I was certainly not concentrating on it. And so I was focusing on teaching, and that grew. And the reason I was focusing on teaching is not because teaching is this like magic money maker. That is just not true. I'm just going to tell you, we hear a lot in this industry about certain, teachers who don't do a ton of artwork maybe, but they sell really successful courses, and knowing how much their courses cost and how many students are in those courses, we sort of do the math and we're like, oh my gosh, these people are making millions of dollars. Look, I want to say that over the time that I have been running my business, where primarily I was earning my money from artwork, my expenses were very low. But as I got into teaching, my expenses shot up. And I don't even do ads, okay? I don't do Facebook ads or Instagram ads. I mean, I've like sponsored a post here and there, but for the most part, I don't dig into that. That's not how I get my audience. So, which is why I have a small audience. But my expenses have increased a lot. So I brought in, the most money I ever have this year. However, my expenses were much more than they've been in past years. And my profit after we take my expenses away from my income, my profit was actually lower than my last year's profit because my expenses keep going up. And part of my big expenses are hiring contractors to help me because I don't want to do it all. And so I have an assistant, I have someone who helps me format my blog and things like that. But for those teachers who we think are making millions of dollars, well, I mean, they might be making millions of dollars, might be coming in, but the amount of money that they're probably spending on ads and the amount of money they're spending on coaching programs to help elevate them to the next level and different types of software to make sure that their funnels are running and they're getting new people in and video equipment to tape their beautiful classes and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of expenses. So someone might be bringing in $1 million with a course, but they're not necessarily taking home that $1 million with the course. So even at a lower level myself, like I said, yeah, I made a little bit more money this year than I did last year, probably 10 or 12 grand more than I made last year. But my profit was 10 grand less than last year because expenses increased so much. So, when we think about courses being easy money, it's not true. Everything is tricky to build, okay? What you're focusing on grows. So if you want to focus on courses and grow those, if that's something that lights you up, that's something that excites you, cool, go for it. And it actually does really interest me. But if that's not what interests you, if the designing, if the artwork is what interests you, then you should be going for that and you should be focusing on that and not worrying about what other people are doing. With these pie charts, these income pie charts that we see, on Instagram. You know, there's just this wisdom, this common like knowledge, common wisdom that's spread, which you need to diversify your income, right? If one source of income goes smaller, then you know you have these other incomes to take over, and that's 100% true. I was building my teaching income in 2020 when my time and my clientele shrunk because of COVID. And so because I was building that teaching, I didn't make less money in 2020, which was amazing. All right, so I also subscribe to diversifying your income. But the thing that I think a lot of beginners get wrong is the idea of diversifying from the jump, from the very beginning. So when you're sitting here trying to figure out how to find clients and how to make those connections so that you can be a surface pattern designer, also trying to figure out how you can have a very successful Spoonflower store, and how you can have a great Skillshare course, and how you can have a gallery show in your local, whatever, your local gallery. You can't do all those things successfully at once. You cannot do them all. You cannot start them all successfully at once, okay? You can potentially do them all successfully at once, but it has to be 1 to 2 things at a time. So if you're just starting out, and if what you're really interested in is making a full-time income as a service pattern designer, what you need to be doing is focusing on how to bring in income with surface pattern design and nothing else. And I know it's easy to get distracted because there are so many things out there, and I'm like, you know, shiny object syndrome is, I understand totally. But if we look at some of the people I interviewed, like Erin McManus. Erin McManus started Paper Raven Company, and she has a beautiful line, and she does licensing now, and she does client work, and she has a product line, so she does wholesaling, all of that. But she started as a product line, doing wholesaling. And as her wholesale and product line grew, as it became more successful, people started reaching out to her to do client work, to do licensing of her artwork. But she started with one thing, and she started small. If you look at, you can go to my Service Pattern Boss Toolkit and watch her bonus video, and she talks about her first year, what she made from her first year going solo after she left her job. And you know, it's not insane, but it's a good starting salary, and she built from there. Nicole Tamron, she does not have an online course. She does not do client work. She does licensing. She does so much licensing. She licenses her work in so many places, and she's one of the only people that I know who makes their entire full-time income from licensing alone. And that's because that is what she focuses on. She builds those relationships. She works with an agent now. She did it before without working with an agent. She creates that art constantly, for licensing shows, for licensing partners. She's always creating artwork, and she is doing that work to build her licensing program. And if she wants to move on to do different things in the future, that's totally fine. She can, but she's already built these relationships and this flow for her art licensing work. Same thing with Erilyn Wiederhold. She works with Pinklight, and Pinklight does both licensing and sort of client work and selling outright. So she does a mix of different types of artwork, but she makes her whole income from her work with Pinklight, from the client work, from the licensing, from the buyouts. And she concentrates on that. And now she's poised, she can do something different. If she wants to get into like print on demand, or if she wants to do like local, you know, like products, if she wanted to become a wholesaler, she has such a great style, it would look amazing. But she is focused on growing that one thing. And now that it's grown, she can move on, right? So what I'm recommending to you is if you're looking to make a full-time income with surface pattern design, take the time to grow that practice, to grow that business. It doesn't have to be full grown. It doesn't have to be $100,000 business before you can even think about anything else. I don't recommend that. But what I'm saying is make enough money get to a point where you're making enough money and you have enough steady clients or steady licensing agreements that it can be a little more on autopilot, and then you can put your efforts into your Spoonflower shop or your Etsy shop or your wholesale products or your gallery shows or your teaching or whatever it is you want to do. But what you focus on grows. So pay attention to what you're interested in and give it everything that you've got. Put your whole self into it, and you will make progress. And it takes time. It takes time. It might take a couple years. It might take 3 or 4 years. But if it's something that you're giving your full focus to, you will be able to make those moves. So I hope you enjoyed that little rant. No, it wasn't a full-on rant, but I just wanted to make a really clear point that the only way to make money in surface pattern design is not teaching. That's untrue. That's absolutely untrue. There are tons of ways to make money in this business, and most people do make money through various forms, through a diverse set of incomes, and you will too probably, but start with 1 or 2. You know, you cannot build 14 businesses at once. It's really hard to build 1 business at a time. Building 3 at a time, 4 at a time, you're gonna burn out and it's not gonna work out. So please, as much as we love diversifying, start with 1 thing, start with 2 things. You love to design, connect with clients, reach out to clients directly, connect with them. Get your marketing on point. Start your service pattern business, or take one of my workshops, free workshops where I give suggestions on how to connect with freelance clients. There's lots of ways to get started, but just get started with the surface pattern part if that's what you love.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Silver, and I've been a professional surface pattern designer for almost 2 decades. When I left my in-house design job to run my own business, I had a lot of industry experience, but building a strong client base still took way longer than I expected. And part of that was because there's both a lot and not enough information out there about how to do this. You've been down the Google rabbit hole, you know. Fast forward to now, when I sometimes turn down client work because I'm booked solid. It's for that exact reason that I created Start Your Surface Pattern Business. In this course, I help you cut through the overwhelm and give you a super clear path to becoming a paid surface pattern designer. I provide you with the tools you need to focus on your goals, get yourself set up so you make a killer first impression, and then find and pitch the clients that are right for your artwork. And I do it in the most straightforward, simple way possible. Nothing extra, just distraction-free lessons and to-do lists, plus insights from an industry insider that will help you get the confidence you need to move forward. The most exciting thing is hearing from my students about landing their first client or licensing contract as they start taking the proactive approach that I am such a fan of. You don't need to spend years building a portfolio of hundreds of patterns and illustrations, and you don't need to get stuck comparing yourself to artists on Instagram. What you need is to take concrete steps forward to build the career that you want. And Start Your Surface Pattern Business is all about taking imperfect action. If you've got a portfolio of designs that you've been building and you're ready to level up, enroll to get started today.
Thanks so much for watching my video. Be sure to subscribe and share with your surface pattern design friends.